Hi, everyone. Let's talk about passive fire protection systems in our buildings. And those really fall under two categories. The first one is means of egress, which is designing ways for people to safely exit our buildings in case of fire. And the second one is fire protection of the structure of the building itself. So starting with means of egress. Egress, no, it's not a white bird that lives in the marsh, all right? It is the name for an exit or a way out of a building. And a means of egress is a continuous and unobstructed path of travel from any point in a building to an exit or directly to a public way. You can see why this would be important in the event of an evacuation for a fire or other emergency. You need to be able to carefully and safely exit the building. So there are three code required components or code defined components to an egress system. And those are called exit access, the exit, and exit discharge. Let's take a closer look at these. First, the exit access is your part of your egress system that leads from a room or a space, wherever your occupant is in the building, to an exit. The exit access is not necessarily enclosed or separated from the rest of the spaces in your building. And this can include corridors, hallways, doors, open stairs, intervening rooms if you have to go through a different room. All right. All of these are part of the exit access. They are the way that you access or get to the exit. So in our illustration here is our building occupants. And in the event of an emergency, first they're going to stand up from wherever they are in the building and use the labeled A here, the exit access, to reach the exit. All right. So the exit is very carefully defined as the part of the building that leads from the exit access to the exit discharge. It is specifically separate from all other spaces in your building. It's fully enclosed and fire rated. All right. Exits are typically a 2-hour fire rated staircase in the event of a multi-story building. They can be a fire protected horizontal passage if you need to get out horizontally, or in its very simplest form, all right, in a smaller or a one-story building, the exit piece of this egress system is simply a door that opens directly to the outside. All right, but there are more complicated buildings out there, and that's why the exit is so carefully defined. All right. Finally, your occupant has moved from their original space through the exit access, through the exit piece, and now they're in the exit discharge area. The exit discharge connects your exit to a public way, which is a fancy definition of a street. All right. This exit discharge could be a courtyard or a patio on the outside, but still on your property. Right. Could be an alleyway, maybe behind your property, or it could be somewhere inside a vestibule or a lobby. All right, and so you've already gone through the exit, the fire rated piece of your egress system, and now you are being discharged out into the street. The design of your egress system and how to keep people safe as they exit your building is one of the most complex and most essential code um, structures in architecture. And as you move forward in your professional practice, this is going to be something that you'll need to study in more depth. But for now, let's move on to our second major way of passive fire protection, and that is protecting the structure of the building itself. All right, so we need to protect the structure to prevent collapse of the building while the fire runs its course. All right, or to at least delay the collapse until everybody has had time to get out and firefighters have had a reasonable chance to help everyone get out and to save the building. All right, and the big example that everyone thinks of here is the World Trade Center. All right, and here are some illustrations of how that structure of the building did eventually collapse in this massive attack and fire event that happened. All right, but it took a long time for the structure to heat up and for all of the passive fire protection systems to fail in that building. So there are a couple of ways to protect the structure of the building, and one is specifically called fire protection, and the other one is called compartmentation. So first of all, we protect or fireproof the structural components of your building. And there's a couple different ways to do it. Shown here is a couple different ways to protect a steel column. A column is one of the most important structural elements to protect. And so we see one here that is encased in concrete. We see one that is encased in multiple layers of fire-rated sheetrock. And this one here is encased in masonry, so that would be a brick enclosure. And finally, this one kind of fuzzy line around it is going to be spray fireproofing, which is one of the more common and cost-effective ways to do this. And so here's a picture. If you ever see some steel structure that is fuzzy like this, that's what it is. It's fireproofing, and it gets sprayed on like this. Compartmentation is the other major way that we protect the structure of our building and is part of the passive fire protection systems. And what this does is it confines the fire to one particular area. All right, and it prevents or maybe just slows down the spread of fire from one part of building to another. All right, compartmentation is required in between different functions of a large building and specifically in between individual buildings. And we see that in here. We've got two townhomes, and they're required to have a 1-hour fire-rated wall in between them. All right. So these fire walls you may have heard of, they come in different ratings, and they are named for how long it would take a fire to break through these firewalls: 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour. All right. So again, we are slowing down the spread of fire from one area to another and allowing people time to safely exit and for the firefighters to get there and start fighting that fire. Within these fire rated or fire protective walls, any openings that you have to have, right, because sometimes we want openings, need to be protected with fire rated doors or windows. Or in the case of ductwork, that would be fire dampers. So the passive means of fire protection in a building include egress systems, allowing our occupants to safely exit the building, and also protecting the structure of our building, either with fireproofing the structure itself or with compartmentation and firewalls to prevent or slow down the spread of fire in our buildings. Thanks, everyone.